Everyone, Melanie from jarofthreads.com, and I'm back with another scrapbook process video. And here you can see me going through all my papers, more or less, and decided not to use any of them. And some more papers. And those one are old ones. I've got no idea. Think no idea. I think that the green one is Bundle of Joy from Bo Bunny, and that's Heidi Swap that I know from My Favorite Things. And I'm just pulling out some paper I think I'm going to use with those pictures, which are pictures of my son Lucas when he was 2.5 years old and we were still living in London. Um, we went to Greenwich Observatory and they've got a park, gardens around it, and Lucas spent a lot of time playing with the squirrels who were very friendly. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't remember any of that. He's sitting behind me today feeling very sorry for himself because he's feeling very sick. Do you want to say anything? No. So I decided to exclude one picture because the colors is slightly different. I've printed those pictures ages and ages ago, so if I'd known I was going to scrapbook them at the time, I would probably have changed the colors a little bit so that it would all match. So I'm deciding to exclude one, and I've them trimmed them down to 4x4, making sure that I was centering around Lucas and the squirrels. So here I'm getting the my piece of cardstock. It's my one piece of white cardstock, so I decided to keep the middle so that I could mount my pictures on it. And I decided to do a white border and a paper, this paper as my center. And I kind of regret that in the end, but I'll talk more about it. This paper is from maybe My Mind's High, and I'm going to trim it down to 11.5 by 11.5, I think, so I can have a border. And here I'm checking because my trims are not the same width, and I was very confused. Here I'm playing around with how I want to put those pictures on, and I've got for today. The last two layouts I've shown here on my channel, they were really about the paint and the background, watercolor effect and stuff like that. And for this one, I really wanted to play with papers. Here I'm deciding I want this paper in this orientation. I wanted to play with papers. I wanted to use some pattern paper. And I'm really happy I did. I just wish I'd used a white background instead of a blue background. But it worked out. And I'm glad the pictures have been scrapped and they're not in the box anymore. So here I'm going to play around a little bit, decide what I want to do. And finally I'm going to match my pictures, leaving a little bit of a gap between them because I kind of like leaving a gap between two pictures, just the way I like it. And the reason I chose the blue background, by the way, is because Lucas was wearing a blue jacket, and that matched quite closely the color of the background. He was so cute when he was little. He's still very cute. You cute? He doesn't want to talk. No, he's not feeling well. So sorry, being distracted. And then I decide I want to mount it on this dark. It's a grayish blue, and I'm going to keep that to 11.5 width, and it's just over 4 inches tall. And I'm considering my options, and that's when I finally found a layout of paper that I like. I'm going to, as you can see, I'm butting them together with the paper before the last one. Does that make sense? Or something like that? Yeah. and that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm going to put it quite low on the page. I'm not sure, I'm sorry, it's a bit, should have checked my camera before doing that. It's a bit off camera. You can't really see that there's like maybe an inch left at the bottom under the first paper, not even that, half an inch. You can see now. And I'm just gluing them down. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what I wanted to say. I think the layout all in all took me just over an hour to make, so that's not too bad. But if you like embellishments, you really should stop watching now, because there will not be any kind of embellishing. You know, if you like flare buttons and enamel dots and all this kind of stuff, I'm not going to use any at all. And I'm making sure that there's no two white papers next to each other, and that there are some papers, you know, between two. The same pattern papers are not repeated exactly next to each other. It didn't go straight. And it's a very, very simple layout that you can just do with scraps of paper. And I'm despite the blue background, which, you know, I'm not particularly happy about, I'm quite pleased with how it turned out. And now a little bit of a distraction. Yeah, if you see the camera moving a lot, that's because I'm scrapping with Leon at the table. And yeah, sorry, I wanted you guys to see what it was like to scrap in my house. And I've added a strip of this Heidi Swap paper because of the um, I needed to include more of this orange and pink and black colors that was in this one poor strip on my background. So I decided to stick two strips together and put it under my pictures. And here you can see I've written my title because I knew I didn't have many E's in any kind of stickers that I had. So I decided to write it down on a scrap paper so that I was sure of the numbers of E's I needed. And my camera is moving. I think it's going to fall down at some point. Right, I'm not sure where I was because I've been interrupted, and that was a few hours ago. And you can hear my son Lucas, who's feeling a bit better and playing his games on his iPad. So if you hear noise in the background, it's him. So yeah, I'm writing my title. Lucas, can you be a bit quiet? Right. Those stickers are called Subway. They're foam stickers. And first, I'm lining them up with the white of my photos, the matte. And yeah, here there's been a cut. That's when the iPad fell down from its stand. When Leon is at the table, he keeps kicking the table and putting his foot on the table and stuff. So that keeps knocking the iPad off its stand. It's not very secure, obviously. So yeah, I'm writing my title for this layout is The Art of Squirrel Handling. I thought that was appropriate. And I'm going to write the art of with some epoxy type stickers. I got them from my $2 shop. They're not very sticky, but if they start coming out off of the page, I will go back with some glossy accent or some Ranger Multimatte Medium and glue them down. But for now, they seem to be sticking-ish. And I'm going to tuck that in just over the squirrel word. So, yeah. I'm not usually very inspired with title, but I knew I wanted to say something about Lucas being like an animal handler and playing with them, if that makes sense. So now I'm with a pencil. I'm doing some lines to write um, my journaling. I don't always do journaling. It depends really on the pictures. Like the previous video, it was all wedding pictures, so it didn't really need journaling. Maybe it did. I don't know. It didn't fit the layout. For this one, I really wanted to tell the story of why we were there and what happened with the squirrels. So, it was just before we left London, and we wanted to see all of London before we left to move to New Zealand. So we were at we went to Greenwich, and we spent some time in the garden there, and that's when the magical thing with the squirrels happened. And it was really funny because Lucas spent forever playing with the squirrels, and people were looking at him, and tourists were taking pictures of him playing with the squirrels. So yeah, and that was London, and I'm going to go back over that. London Greenwich 2012, and I'm outlining my papers with a messy kind of outline in white on the blue part of the paper, not on the pattern paper themselves, around the paper if you want. Does that make sense? And I'm going to change that a little bit. And at this point, yeah, I wanted something else. That's a piece of paper when my son Lucas practices handwriting, and I wanted to add a squirrel, and so I drew one quickly to see if I could draw a squirrel free-handed without any kind of reference other than the running squirrels in my pictures. And I was quite happy with my very very quick sketch. It took me 30 seconds, a minute to draw the squirrel the first time, and then so I repeated this drawing on my background, and with my gel pen. It's a Signo gel pen. It's not the broad, it's fine, so it doesn't work so well. And something I've discovered is that I've waited like quite a while, but when you try to erase your pencil mark and you've done some outline with your gel pen, at least this one, on the pattern paper, it erased the gel pen. So here you can see me drawing a smaller one to balance the page. And I didn't want to put my title up in the blue part because there was nothing to anchor the title, but I felt it needed something up top. It was very bottom heavy. And that's when I discovered that I can actually erase my white outline. 9 batteries on the iPad. Ooh. Wait. No, you can't plug it in because Leon is asleep. And the plug is where Leon is sleeping. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm being distracted. I'm going over my lines and redrawing a few things. And at this point, I think I'm done. But I'm not totally satisfied with the way my gel pen looked. So that's why I'm showing it to you. I feel like it's not quite right. So I went into my stash and got my Liquitex paint marker, and it's in titanium white. And I'm going to redraw over my lines, and I'm much happier. They stand out a lot more, and they don't look so, I don't know, weird. I still use a kind of sketchy outline. It's very sketchy and yeah, not super clean drawing, which is what I wanted. And I'm going to go back over. Yeah, I'm going to melt my thing because I haven't done that yet. It's when I run out of type runner and grabbed another one. And yeah, I'm going to be able to line my thing pretty well this time. Usually I always struggle, but first time And I'm putting a bit of washi tape because I want to make sure it's secure. You don't have to, but I felt like I wanted. No reason other than that. And that's when I decided to go back with my Liquitex pen. It's got a chisel tip, which is, you might like it or might not. I really like those pens. I've got two of them, one in white and one in hot pink. And yeah, I like them. So yeah, that's it. That's all my layout done. I'm going to show you some close up, but that's pretty much it. I considered adding some white splatters in the blue on the blue background, but decided not to in the end to keep it simple. All right, that's all for today. I'll be back very soon with another project life process video and probably a haul very shortly. All right, bye bye all.